Good morning. My name is Thomas Breitinger and I'm the Vice President Development of German-speaking countries of the Maier Vidorno Altios group, which basically means that we are responsible for supporting all our German-speaking clients with their internationalization. In the past, we only supported our middle-sized clients by entering the India market, where we have more than 180 employees. But since our merger with Altios International, we support our clients in more than 50 countries globally. One of our new USPs is today that we are able to offer almost a similar portfolio of services in 23 countries. And one of these services is the incubation service. I'm happy that this topic is of interest for you. And today we have around 100 registrations for this event. Before starting the event, I wanted to quickly give some technical information. You are all muted, but you have the opportunity to ask questions by writing them in the chat, and you can find them in the control panel on the far right. We are looking forward to answer all your questions during the Q&A session at the end of the event. And if you have more individual questions that you don't want to discuss in this webinar, please just send us an email. The webinar will also be recorded, and if you wish, we can send you the recording afterwards. Same goes for the presentation. You can always contact us, and we will be happy to be in contact with you. So now we start the event with an interview of Mr. Reinhard Bührer, the head of sales and marketing of company Hatteboer. And Mr. Bührer will be interviewed by our managing partner, Mr. KLAUS Maier. Gentlemen, the stage is all yours. Please switch on the camera.
Yeah, Thomas, thank you very much. Good morning to you as well. Mr. Bührer, good morning. I think you are right now in Switzerland, and you told us earlier that you closed the windows in order not to distract the audience from the beautiful views you have behind you.
That's absolutely correct. Good morning all together.
And yeah, maybe briefly to introduce you, Thomas already mentioned my name. I'm KLAUS Maier, and I'm the founder partner of Maier Vidorno and now managing partner of Altios after our merger in May. I'm sitting right now, you can see that if you see how strangely those cities are being written in our Krakow office in Poland. So a lovely city, and I really can recommend everyone to visit once Krakow. But now back to our event. Mr. Bührer, he is a very experienced international salesperson, so to speak, even though his background, his education is in precision engineering. But I think for the last 25 years or even plus 25 years, he's actually active in sales and marketing. Started selling capital goods, then went in 2010 to Hatteboer. Was then responsible for setting up the Hatteboer operations in China, and after his return from China became the international head for sales and marketing for the Hatteboer Group worldwide. And in this regard, we like to welcome you here, and I think we have loads of questions how you manage your business, how you manage your international sales activities, being a small and medium-sized company, so to speak, falling into that SME category. But maybe, Mr. Bührer, if you briefly could tell the audience what Hatteboer exactly is and what Hatteboer exactly does.
Yeah, Ms. Maier, thank you very much for this nice introduction. I think there is not much to add from my side on the personal side regarding Hatteboer company. Hatteboer is a typical Swiss machine manufacturing company, family owned, and established in 1930. So already quite long, many years of experience in the market. And typically also as a Swiss company, we are focusing mainly for export. Switzerland is a small domestic market, so for machinery, the market possibilities are limited. So we are always looking for export business. We are in machine manufacturing, as already mentioned. We build, we design, and we build equipment for metal forming. Metal forming, that means in all temperature ranges, from cold formers and then up to hot formers to form metal parts with high annual volumes, with equipment that is capable to process in multiple stations and with toolings, etc. So for this equipment, we provide all the services from the new equipment, but also then process engineering for the customers, and then also the after-sales service. So for the full life cycle of the equipment. It's a typical niche market, and we are worldwide. We work worldwide with this equipment, but the main focus is actually on automotive industry, on fastener industry, and also roller bearing industries. The whole company comprises around 200 employees in several locations worldwide. Main production facilities are in Switzerland and also in Italy. So we have in our portfolio 2 brands. One is Hattibur and the other one is Carlos Albi. Yeah, that's basically our setup from Switzerland side. And as mentioned, the main focus is, of course, is export, and this is also why we have this contact, this cooperation with Maier Vidorno.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Bührer. So basically, you represent 80%, 90% of the German-speaking company environment, Mittelstands company, mostly family operated, and with a very, very high export ratio. And in this regard, since you are so typical for our clientele, but basically the entrepreneurial scenario in our markets, what, as a medium-sized company, as a small company, as not a multinational like a Bosch or Siemens or whatever, what are the typical challenges you are facing when it comes to internationalization? I mean, because you are running it now for 25 years, I think you have seen everything one possibly can see. So what would you describe as your biggest bottleneck, or the challenge which is really difficult to handle?
Yeah, the challenge is really that the mid-sized or small and mid-sized companies, they have always limited resources and also, let's say, specializations. So less people have to cope actually with all the questions that also bigger companies are facing, but the bigger companies, then they have much more specialized departments. And maybe also, when it comes to internationalization regarding cooperation contracts and legal matters, they have easier access internally, maybe with legal departments that can follow up on such kind of matters. Whereas small companies, small medium-sized companies, they have to tackle these matters in a different way, maybe with external partners, maybe which do not maybe know then all the details that are involved from the company side or from the markets that we want to go into. So there are several such kind of difficulties that we have to tackle with. Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? I mean, you said that you have to be a multi-super-duper talent, yeah, to handle international sales. And not only that, you need to cover also so many different functions, but you also need to cover the world, basically. So how do you do that?
Yeah, for us, let's say we are mainly with corporations in the target markets, with agents mainly that are helping for the distribution and for the sales of our equipment. Of course, we are, as already mentioned, also in previous companies I worked for about a year, also for Hattibur, typically niche products. It's not the high turning volumes, but let's say for these markets, for these very specialized markets, we need partners in the target markets. So for many decades, we have partners in the automotive industry or in the automotive industry related markets, like for example the US, but of course also in Europe, the several countries, or then when it comes about Far East, also Japan, China, and India, where we have had cooperations for many decades in this way. So these partners, these agents and distribution agents, they have, of course, then the local know-how, and with them we have, we tackle the problems then by educating them on our system, on our equipment, on our tools, and they provide on their turn the know-how for the market.
You see, working with agents typically goes along with two challenges. First of all, you describe yourself as a typical German-speaking SME, right? Being one of the leaders in a small niche, and obviously the niche or becoming a leader means you define the niche, as niche, so that it's really becoming a niche, so that you are the leader. To find somebody who actually fits into that niche as well. A partner, a dealer, a distributor, agent, whatever you call that. On the other side, the typical problem of a dealer is once you put yourself into his shoes, is that if he's performing too well, the business may go, and if he's performing too bad, the business also may go. So how do you balance this?
Yeah, that's exactly the challenge that we have, of course. On one side, you want to have a stable and long continuing relationship with a partner to build up the know-how on both ends. But this is exactly then the point that maybe a dealer, an agent can be a successful beginning together, and mainly for us is the focus that they have a similar or a range of products that is can be combined with our equipment, so that they have better chances to have multiple introductions to possible customers in their markets. So to broaden the possibility and for discussion, that's important for the agent itself, but it's of course also important for us, because we are a high investment equipment. So there is not every day a contact or not enough food maybe sometimes for in a certain market for an agent. So they need, of course, also other equipment for the sales. And if their one sales goes then too successfully, maybe they forget about us. On the other side, and they can lose interest. So this is then the challenge, to continuously work with them from the sales side, with sales representatives working in Switzerland and responsible for individual markets, so that they are working continuously with these agents. Have frequent tours with them in the market to visit customers and keeping them also active. That's an important part for solving this problem. Otherwise, there is a risk.
You gave the word which I was looking for, continuity. Yeah, I always find it actually very, very difficult if I just apply my maths. Yeah. I don't know, how big is your sales team, people who support you for the internationalization of HTBU in the world? I mean, how many people do you have on your team?
It's four people responsible for the market.
And how many countries do you serve in the world?
Yeah, a couple. So main markets are for us. It's US, it's Europe as a whole, and then it's India, China and Japan. These are the main markets.
Let's say basically we're talking about 15 countries plus minus.
Plus minus, yes.
Yeah. So 4 people, 15 countries. The working year has what, 45, 46 weeks, right? And if I just apply the maths and say, okay, how do you do that? I mean, because you go to a trip, you go to a country like India, you go to Japan, you go to US, yeah. By the time you get there, you're tired because of the jet lag. Then you travel for a week, and then later on you come back, and then the next market is waiting for the next trip, and you said you need to bring continuity into this relationship, which means also a follow-up of your relationship with the dealer or with the sales partner, or maybe your own people in those markets. But basically, how do you make sure that you steer them actively, that you guide them actively, that whatever has been discussed is then also being followed? That I mean, because for me, this is always a miracle. I mean, how can I travel half of the year and then still implement what has been discussed during that half year and make sure that people do whatever has been discussed and agreed? I find that very, very difficult, and specifically with external partners.
Yeah, it is, yeah, or it can be. It depends on the depth of this cooperation, and of course, it's also always related to personal relationship to build up and to keep on going. And this is a continuous. It's not just a continuing cooperation with them, but it's also remains a continuous challenge. That's absolutely correct. And so we have, let's say, for the main markets, of course, in Europe, we are close. We can operate out of Switzerland, but for remote markets, we rely on such partnerships, or where then the markets are growing for us and have a certain potential, certain volume, that we maybe can exist even without such a relationship. And then we have, like in China or also in Japan, we have opened our own facilities for sales and service, so that we are not depending on dealers where we see big market possibilities.
Which I think is very important for somebody selling Swiss or German machinery into those markets, because we are more expensive than our competition, our worldwide competition, and our promise is that you buy something better, but you also buy a better service, right?
Yes.
And I think the Switzerland even has made that into a brand. You call it Swissness, right? And this Swissness, or in your case, it would be maybe Hatteburgness, yeah. It's a challenge to transport that also to the end customer, that the customer really feels I'm related to Hattebur, I'm buying from Hattebur, I'm not buying from a third party who is not really related. And is that really actually possible with dealers, or is that dealer thing only a sort of, okay, fine, I don't have a better solution, I can't have a subsidiary in every country, I have to work with dealers, but actually happy, maybe not, right?
No, it's absolutely correct. And let's say to give the service that we want to provide to our customers, we need these strong setups in the key markets. And so in some markets we really have also very strong dealers, which have even their own service team, like we expect, so they can really provide the service we want. In other countries, this is less possible, or also less necessary, because maybe the markets are not as big to really have a specialized service team out there, and then the service is provided directly out of Switzerland. This has, of course, certain disadvantages for the customer on site. That's then the compromise that we have to go. But for bigger markets, as already mentioned, we have then the own setup with the own service teams to actually provide these Swissness service, as you said, because this is the key point that makes where we make the difference to our competitors. And I always say, if you buy Hattebur or if you buy a Swiss machine, it's and it's about the service behind and about quality itself. This is, of course, only can be experienced by the customer when he has made this purchase. After a couple of years, he can feel then the difference. to maybe competition equipment. It's like if you buy an insurance, you also don't know what you get. Only if you have insurance case, yeah.
And this promise of service, how do you deal with that? Is it something you, before you sell a machine, you already have in mind how you will do service, or is it something first I have a customer and then I think about the service?
No, it goes a little bit in combination. Let's say in China, I can say quite well from that side. We have been represented for many years, from the late 70s till mid 90s. We have been represented by agents. That went quite well. During this period, China was not, let's say, on the level for our equipment that we had continuous sales. But then in the later 90s, we decided to, or we saw that this market, China, is growing fast and is now on the edge to have a fast development in the automotive industry. So we decided in the late no, it was not late 90s. In the late 0 years, so 2000, 2009, we decided then to set up our subsidiary in China to build up the service. The service
that was purely a service-driven decision.
Pardon?
That was purely a service-driven decision.
That was a sales-driven decision, but for the sales, it is necessary to have the service on site. Otherwise, it cannot grow on the sales side.
Mm. And as you said earlier, I mean, the promise, the Hattebuness, Swissness, just to give it into the hands of third parties, may happen, may not happen, but in case it doesn't happen, it surely falls back on your brand, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so we met, for example, a number of years ago when the Swiss Business Hub brought us in touch, and you were looking for something more in India, because you said India very important. You're having dealers, you have these partners, but something more has to happen. So what was exactly the starting point for you to say, hey, we need to be more active in India?
Yeah, on one side, well, I think there are two main points that has driven this decision for India. On one side, it's India as a market itself. We saw there also a similar condition like maybe China a couple of years or 1 decade ago. A fast growth in the automotive industry for India, and a good, let's say, outlook for the future growth for sales of our equipment. This is one point. The other point is the situation that we had with our former agent or dealer. With them, we had a cooperation for about 40 years. It was mainly one person that was driving then our equipment and promoting our equipment in the sales. So it was clear after 40 years, it's then also an age question. And so we had to either go ahead with the distributor and build up maybe a new guy with them who is promoting our equipment, but then we decided we want to go into another direction on our own because of the growth of the market.
Basically, having somebody who works dedicatedly for you and also can bring this Swissness, Hatteburness in the market and understands Hattebur much better than a dealer who only works for or who works for many companies, and the person most likely who is the specialist on Hattebur machines is it's not 100% dedicated to your products.
Correct.
But,
if we have to build up,
coming to that, this was, I think, the first time you made an experience with such a solution. I mean, earlier you said, fine, we had in Japan and China, we opened our own subsidiaries because of the service topic, sales topic. In other markets, we only work with dealers and distributors because maybe there's not more there, which just doesn't justify, or which is not justifying a higher engagement. So you chose like an intermediate solution, right?
Yes, we will see how it develops. That's why it was an attractive solution for us with this incubation tool to build up, also to employ directly our staff, which are really 100% dedicated to our equipment and to our customers in the market. We have already an existing customer base in India. That's of course an advantage for us. And so we started with a service engineer who already had some experience with our equipment, and he's now working full time on our side. And in the second step, we build up, or we have taken in then also a salesperson who can now follow up also the task in the market directly on Hatibur behalf.
So you described now what are the pros of this solution, right? On the other side, what would you say are the cons? I mean, it can't be the perfect solution for you either. There has to be a bit of. Is it different from a branding point of view, or because you have a subsidiary, let's say China. Okay, China is bigger now, but let's say I think Japan is similar, right? You have a service setup and maybe a broader customer base, but from a structural point of view, very similar. So if you compare those two solutions, where would you say is the weakness in this Indian setup, so to speak?
Yeah, I really only see this. It has many advantages for us for handling this solution. The only con I see is really in the appearance of our people, if they go to the customers and as M&V employees, so to say, but of course 100% dedicated to Hatibur. So this is a little bit a down point, because it may look like a dealer situation to the customer, and it needs maybe some additional explanation to them. After a short explanation, usually it's not a big issue.
So obviously, which is the compliance topic, where you need to find a solution which makes everybody happy, the company as well as the local tax system.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, so we do that now in one market, and obviously we can do that also now in 25 other markets. Do you think that this is something what can replace the current structure, working with dealers and distributors, or would you see that as an add-on?
I see this. At the moment I see this just as an add-on, because as I said, there are markets where we have representations, where it is fine to have a sales rep or let's say an agent going on with out in the market and dealing maybe with a couple of customers where we have in this market. But maybe the markets are not big enough to justify a 100% sales employee or service employee, which also needs to be managed from headquarters. That also takes time and resources. So for me, this is an add-on, especially for markets where we see growth potential. Maybe then with the target to in one day also build up the own subsidiary.
Would it be, you say, how to manage, how to control, how to steer, and also obviously you need resources to take care of those people as well. I mean, they need to get an update on technology, on training, on service ways, and so on. But for example, would it be possible to maybe outsource this to a country like, let's say, India, for example? I don't want to speak about India here, but to India, for example, where then you have a bunch of, let's say, service engineers in India. You have a train the trainer, and then they start traveling around the world. And would that be something which is interesting, or is it too complicated and has to be steered from India, from Switzerland? Sorry.
Yeah, since we are in a niche market, we are also in a very specialized, let's say, technology, and that's a lot of know-how driven, and know-how is of course then in Switzerland, and so that would be difficult to transfer this know-how and then let this then be managed somewhere else. at the moment,
so
I think
Swissness can
it's
only be done
difficult.
by Swiss people.
Yeah, maybe not, but it would also, I think, it's also a point from customer side, what they expect, if they receive an equipment from Switzerland, and they probably also want to have the service out of Switzerland. Yeah.
Okay, so let's come to an end here, because I think we already a little above our time slot.
Mhm.
But as a last question, so as a medium-sized company, I have different ways how to manage my challenge to be international, to be present in most parts of the world. Yeah, I have the choice between a direct setup or an indirect way, working with dealers, or we spoke now also about, you know, sort of mix in between, where you have a service partner and dedicated people working for you, and no interest of a third party in the business as such, but basically providing a service. So what should be the I mean, what would you advise other companies, how, if they start now fresh and say, hey, you work with dealers for the last 40 years, so you have an established system, but if I'm fresh, I have now the challenge to set up my service, my sales in 20 countries of the world. Would you say go for a mix, go for a rather as much independence as possible, and have your own subsidiaries, at least representation officers in different countries? Or would you say maybe some organization which combines those two facts? I mean, what would you advise somebody? Maybe your son is going to business now, becoming also head of sales or whatever, and what would you advise him?
There is, of course, not one solution that can be applied to every company or to every situation, and also each market is different. So I think it needs a proper market analysis about the potential of for the products to be sold there. And then in the most promising markets, I really see this as a good solution with this incubation method, to go into markets, to have a first footstep into the market with low, let's say, with low administration and legal matters, because this is solved by specialists directly in the markets. And so it can be focused directly on the marketing and on the sales side for those markets. Those markets which then develop in this method, they maybe in a later stage they can grow and also from the organization, and maybe one day also develop to an own facility, to an own subsidiary, becoming then a mixed version. But going from a greenfield solution without any internationalization at the beginning, this would be for me the choice of how to go.
Okay, and I think we do that in a different event or a different topic, maybe with a beer or a glass of wine in the evening. Let's talk about if we still cannot organize your service from India, because I believe there are opportunities, but that's a different topic. But thank you very much, Mr. Bührer, and it was very, very interesting. I would like to ask Thomas Breitinger now to come back on stage and talk about the theoretical setup and the needs if you want to structure something like an incubation model. Thank you, Mr. Bührer. It was really lovely, very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. 1 second, I try to shift to the next slide, but it's somehow not working properly. Sorry for that. Thank you for the interview. I now start with a simplified version of the various market entry phases that many SMEs follow. So in the first step, one tries directly selling to customers that they meet at trade fairs or sell to customers they already know from home. But the direct sales is difficult and air gets thinner. And it is also, let's say, not the best idea to wait till the market gets ready for the product, for example, in countries like India. In more promising countries, one looks for agents, distributors who can then identify further customers and, if necessary, also take over after-sales services. As soon as certain sales volumes are reached, companies set up local entities like legal license offices or subsidiaries. But the license office, let's say, may be a suitable step in some countries, but in most it is not. And it is also only representative activities allowed. Some companies also buy the local partner or enter into a joint venture or establish their own local manufacturing. So most of our customers here, they already have 4 or 5 subsidiaries worldwide and are otherwise represented by distributors in other markets. However, there are also markets that do not develop as expected and where the sales are not high enough to establish an own company. A change of distribution partners also does not bring the expected results, and the market potential is not fully exploited. So for exactly these cases, the incubation model was designed, and I will later talk more in detail about this. But we first start with the sales via distributor strategy. It is absolutely fine try entering a market through a sales partner because of the advantages of the low investment cost. And with a well-connected partner, you may also have quick access to a market. So as long as sales develop well, with over 20% growth rates year on year, there is absolutely nothing wrong with this strategy. In most cases, however, the distribution partners reach their limits at some point and sales stagnate. The partner will certainly say that the reason for this are too high product prices, and to a certain extent, this may be one of the main reasons. However, as per our experience, there are also other reasons. And latest at this point, the lack of direct customer relationship takes its toll. Not only that the customers do not like to buy from middlemen who are not responsible for the quality of the products, you also have no control over what else the partner sells. So you cannot look into the partner's books. Another problem is that the local distributors are often not well trained and they only sell via price. A technical sales based on product quality cannot be made with poorly trained personnel. We also know cases where things have gone too well. So the partner, who in that case was also a major customer in several countries, had increased sales in India over more than 8 million euros. And now they started to dictate the prices. But the main problem of this strategy is certainly that you hardly develop your own specific market knowledge. So the knowledge about competitors, prices, projects, customer feedback, and so on. Everything is filtered through the partner. And the sales partner has, this is in the nature of things, a rather short-term interest in profit maximization and pays less attention to good service and sufficient stock. In sales, he will always concentrate on the products that bring him the fastest success in the short term, and there is no interest in lengthy technical sales processes. However, if the after-sales service is not carried out by reliable, well-trained personnel, this can destroy the reputation in the long term, especially if one is also active in a niche market. The last thing here, a multiple dealer strategy, which is urgently required in big countries, not only India, also in China, United States, and so on. It is difficult to implement such a multiple dealer strategy from Europe. Having your own subsidiary compensates for the disadvantages of this distribution partner strategy. So having your own team on site stands as a guarantee for the quality of your products, and it will definitely have a positive impact on your business. You have a direct customer relationship and therefore get direct unfiltered feedback. You get specific market knowledge about competitors and so on. And you also have the opportunity to build a nationwide network with multiple distributors managed by the local team. Now coming to the disadvantages. So we often see the administrative effort is very often underestimated. The managing director of the sales office cannot concentrate on sales anymore because he has so many other tasks to do. And also the parent company needs to tie up additional capacities. So all the disadvantages listed here are really hurt when the subsidiary does not generate enough sales. Yeah, so the administrative costs are obviously more painful if the local subsidiary has cash flow problems and then has to be financed by capital from the parent company. Even if sales are still low, you still have to meet local compliance requirements and therefore you need high educated and also expensive personnel. In order to avoid uncontrolled growth in your local subsidiary, one is also well advised to implement appropriate processes, ERP systems, and so on, and all that costs time and energy. Our customers therefore usually only establish their subsidiary when break-even is reached or at least certain, and the subsidiary can live by its own income. Otherwise, costs are simply too high. And yeah, let's say to wind up a subsidiary is complicated, yeah, and it's also not really contributing to the good mood, so to speak. So what to do if sales are still too low for setting up a subsidiary and you also do not achieve good results with sales partners, but in the same time you know that there is potential. There is more potential in the market, but you just can't get there. So exactly for this scenario, the incubation model was created. The market share cannot be increased to a good level with only the distributors, and sales are still too low to invest into an own subsidiary. So to understand this model, very important here, you cannot hire an employee in the United States, in India and China or anywhere else outside the European Union directly from the parent company. So even if the employee establishes his own local consultancy company, let's say in China, and then invoices for the sales activities to the headquarter in Switzerland, this also creates an illegal permanent establishment. So besides this tax problem, yeah, and that it's simply illegal, you also cannot properly control and manage the employee. So you have basically all the disadvantages of a distributor model plus additional fixed costs for the local office of the employee. So paying a sales partner a fixed monthly salary, preferably in addition to the commission, does not get you anywhere. So paying an employee directly as a one-man show is clearly a bad idea. And yeah, we definitely cannot recommend that. Our incubation model offers an ideal solution here. So in the respective foreign market, suitable sales and service technicians are hired and trained in consultation with our clients. So the employees are working for the respective projects of the client are our employees and they are managed by us. So all this is overseen by experienced M&V Altios managers on site who are both mentors to the local sales team and also trusted advisor to the customer. So all employee liabilities and responsibilities rest with M&V Altios, and the cost of this assignment is charged to the company's profit and loss account in the home country. So far, we have more than 30 hidden champions, so these hidden world market leaders that use this model with us. But we also have customers with, let's say, a turnover of 10, 20 million euros only. So worldwide, we have more than 1,500 sales and service engineers working for our customers in this model. These are very roughly the basic components. So the employees are our employees and we treat them as all our employees. So we take care of all HR issues. And since they are our employees, of course, also the payroll, we take care of taxes, social security, health insurance, and so on and so forth. Furthermore, we take care of the administration and control of the project and watch over the compliance and with the budget, cash flow, we do expense reports and so on. So risk and responsibility for the employees fully with MNV Altios. I wanted to repeat that just to make clear that this model does not lead to an illegal operation. It's a highly customized service, and depending on the assignment and the foreign market, the components here may vary. So most incubation clients also book office space. It's optional. Storage space, they also can book. And most of our clients definitely also, let's say, book the management of the sales and service staff, the support in managing the people. The actual requirements and project scope are agreed in a kickoff workshop. We need a full day to really be online here. And yeah, we are also very flexible when it comes to reporting to the client and adapt all that to the client's requirements. If desired, I already said that, we would be more than happy to dive deeper here in a personal meeting. Yeah. One thing must be said here with all clarity. Yeah? This entire model, this entire project stands and falls with the right employee. That is absolutely key. So finding, managing, and retaining good staff is the key to success. So better carry out the recruitment with a professional agency. I don't only say that because we are offering that. Yeah, you can also do that with another service provider, but we highly recommend a professional agency for recruitment. So do not recruit the smart guy which you met at the plane or at the airport or on a business fair. Now, we have so many cases where this failed. So please, recruitment external. Secondly, managing staff over sometime thousands of kilometers away is also something which is difficult. 1 second. Especially when it comes to culture and so once you have found and trained the right employee, it is equally important to manage them well. Otherwise, they will quickly be gone. In most foreign markets, well-trained employees can quickly find a new employment, not only in the US, in India. So in most countries where we are active, if you are well-trained, you can find a new job easily. What my managing director always says, you can't manage what you can't measure, which brings us here to the KPIs and KRAs. So in order to be able to objectively assess the performance of the employee, it is necessary that you adapt the target agreements to the local challenges. So if the goals are realistic, and they have to be realistic and neatly worked out, this gives both sides security, so the local salesperson and to the headquarter. So we support our customers in personal management, and this starts at the very beginning by advising our clients in the development of realistic target agreements. The activities of the employees are transparent, and the achievements of the target agreement is also monitored. Furthermore, employees are integrated into our local team. So here they meet many others who are in a similar situation, talking to foreigners. Sometimes they write strange emails, just one sentence, do this and that. So culture is different, yeah. So last but not least, we need to avoid competitive situations here, which basically means first come, first served. I guess I already mentioned more than 1,500 employees we have in this model. So sometimes very not nice for me, but then we have to say sorry, we can't, because we're already working for a competitor. Employees are managed locally and customers are briefed every week. So in summary, so to say, the model combines the advantages of the own subsidiary and the sales partner with significant fewer disadvantages. So I had to tighten up this a bit here with the advantages, because otherwise not everything would have fit on the slide. So the first 2 points which you can see, they are the same as with your own subsidiary. But you also have faster access to the market because of the local staff bringing in their network, customer contacts and experience. You have no labor law difficulties and other requirements, no startup costs, no registration costs, no transfer pricing documentation and so on that you will have with an own subsidiary. The activities of the employees are transparent, and the sales staff, like also Mr. Bührer said, they are the representatives to the client, and they report everything essential back to the headquarter, which means that you receive a specific market knowledge. The cost of the model goes into the profit and loss, so no financing through capital, like in case of a subsidiary when you have cash flow problems. But we also have disadvantages. So compared to an own subsidiary, you may have to cut back on branding, and the employees may not be allowed to appear as employees of the client. I say that because in some countries it's true, like in India. By the way, in India, we also offer a solution, we call it franchise, where our clients can work with their own brand, but this is too much in detail right now. However, there are other countries where this is not so much a problem, and the employees of our clients can go with their own corporate branding. Under no circumstances the employees are allowed to sign documents in the name of the client. They are only allowed to forward offers. They cannot sign as an employee of MNV a proposal. But again, the goal of the model is to increase sales in the respective market as quickly as possible to a level that makes the establishment of a subsidiary profitable and worthwhile. The employees are then transferred to the newly incorporated branch. Yeah? So obviously all the employees, they are aware of that one day, if they perform well, their customers will incorporate a subsidiary, and that is extremely motivating. Yeah? They will do all their best, everything they can do to achieve that target as soon as possible, because they will then probably in a management position of the new subsidiary. Now, to make it a bit less abstract, I wanted to show 3 case studies from different companies, from different industries that also have expanded into different countries, but always with the help of the incubation model. To start with, Ferroduo is a mid-sized company not too far from Köln, active in the circular economy. So they buy, process and resell byproducts. They are a leader in ferrous sulfate, and they sell this product to the steel industry, to the chemical industry and the water treatment plants. Now they recently invested 2-3 years back in a new product line. And this product is sold to fertilizer manufacturers. So the problem by that time was that Ferroduo had a very well-established sales and distribution to its core industries like steel, chemical industry, and so on. But it was completely unknown by the fertilizer manufacturers. Sales for the new business had to be established worldwide in a timely manner. Yeah, and the incubation model was used for this purpose. And we parallel started in one go in France, Italy, Spain, and the United States. So in all those countries, suitable employees have been identified and trained by Ferroduo. Ferroduo did a lot, obviously, in providing a marketing material, also, yeah, in the local languages. No? So the product brochures, they were in Italian, French, and also the website, the landing pages. That is something which obviously needs to be done by the client. No? But thereafter, sales immediately started. We had first market access, first customers, and the Ferroduo also gained specific market knowledge. So I show this case study here because Harteboer is a high complex technical niche product manufacturer, and here Ferroduo, this is sales of commodities. So also in this case, this model works. In the next case, this is company Götze. They are also a middle-sized company, 150 employees, export share more than 60%, not a manufacturer of commodities at all, more in a niche like Harteboer. So the Götze valves are, they may look like this, but they are not at all a mass product. They are high performance valves for liquids of all kinds, gases, technical vapor, steam, and so on, from minus 270 degrees to plus 400 degrees. So the sales and distribution of these valves is only possible through technically extremely high experienced people. So very well-trained personnel, because the customers of those valves are plant and power plant operators, and they also need technical advice. So it's like a technical training when selling this product. The Götze first tried it with a sales partner in Dubai, but it didn't bring the results that Götze expected, and the potential there is far higher. So a very experienced sales manager was hired in Dubai in our incubation model, who had already successfully sold valves for the competitor. So he had already a very good experience. You always need to have people which already have a network, know the customers, know the right people to talk to. Only then this model really works well. Doesn't make sense to hire and I don't know, somebody who recently left university. Very experienced people with a good network, good salespeople with a proven track record. Then it makes sense. So and it worked very well. So he increased sales in Dubai significantly. Vidorno Automatisierungstechnik is one of the international leading suppliers of stopping and positioning models in automation technology. It's also classical middle-sized company, group independent, classically organized as our medium-sized companies here, and also very proud of made in Germany products which are sold around the globe. But made in Germany, like made in Switzerland, always comes with a price. And in this case here, direct sales was difficult, but not. We are not talking about far distant country. Here we talk about Italy. So selling in Italy, I also tried that myself. you need to be very, very close to the client. You need to meet 15 times for just a cup of coffee and so on. And being so close is difficult, even if the plane just takes 1-2 hours flight from Munich. Yeah. So the solution here was also the incubation model. Hiring a local Italian employee familiar with the industry, who can obviously then visit potential customers at a far higher rate, and then come to a more close customer relationship and customer retention also. So I'm almost coming to an end now. I thought I speak also about M&V, but M&V Altios, sorry, but we are running out of time, and I will skip that. So yeah, we support our customers in all phases of internationalization, and not only theoretically. So our subsidiaries locally support with the implementation, and not only with the incubation model. This is basically why I show this slide. There are also services like recruiting, company formation, but we also support in, let's say, when you decide to go for a joint venture or other market entry strategy. So once India, and today almost the whole world, within the European Union, we have let's say, a slimmed down model, or a slimmed down form of this incubation model, because you can, for example, hire an employee in France directly in Germany. So he can be employed in Germany, but working with a French contract, and obviously you have to do stuff in payroll and taxes then in French, but it's less complex than in foreign markets. But obviously here you also need to make sure that the employee does what he's basically paid for. No? In other countries such as North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, we do not have own subsidiaries, but we can also offer this incubation model there through our partners. So yeah, I hope you liked it, and I'm looking forward to dive deeper into this material later whenever you're interested. And I just see that we are really running out of time, and I'm just wondering, we may have to, I don't want to extend it here too much. We will try to reply the questions later, phase by phase. I also see that this is a bit more maybe not here for the webinar. I hope that you liked it, and I wanted to thank you very much, especially thank Mr. Bührer for his active participation. I hope that you all liked our event of today, and hope to see you soon again, face to face, without mask, analog. Thank you very much.